How's it going, guys? Cody, guys, back again, dropping yet another video. Right, guys, this is a story that's coming out of BBC News reference Lowdham Grange prison, which is a private prison. It's a category B prison. It's run by Serco and it holds around 900 inmates, right? The stories reference prison officers assaulting prisoners. Now, according to the prison, this doesn't go on. There's a story there. As always, guys, I'll put a link in the description below to browse at your own leisure should you choose to, but you don't need to because I read it word for word. So right, guys, so the headline is HMP Lowdham guards accused of assaulting prisoners, right? Lowdham Grange is a category B prison which holds 900 inmates. Allegations have emerged of assaults by prison officers on inmates following several outbreaks of violence at a Nottinghamshire prison. Relatives of 3 prisoners contacted the BBC to complain about conditions at HMP Lowdham Grange. It's not HMP, it's private prison. One said she was told a handcuffed inmate had been thrown downstairs and others pulled from their cells and punched. Serco, which runs the prison, said it received no complaints about officers assaulting prisoners. They can put comps in, comp ones and stuff, right? But the thing is, the screws have got the key, right? Normally it's the night clocky that's got a key, goes in, opens it and stuff like that. But I know of screws that have told me that complaints get put in and they just get ripped up. They don't even make it off the wing, right? So yeah, Serco said that they've not received any complaints about officers assaulting prisoners. In other words, it doesn't happen. Right. Lowdham Grange was the prison have said that the Lowdham Grange was a peaceful and operating to its normal regime, it added. The allegations have been made against the background of rising violence at Lowdham over the past few years. The prison's last inspection in 2015 concluded use of force by staff was very high and was not always justified or warranted. Inmates' relatives said mistreatment of prisoners had raised tensions and caused the recent outbreaks of disorder. There was I think there was 4 incidents in like an 8-day period, right? Violence in the last week or two. Says here, however, the Independent Monitoring Board, which sends volunteers to observe day-to-day life inside prisons, said it had been impressed by the efficient, calm and humane way in which serious incidents were tackled. It also highlighted concerted indiscipline by groups of prisoners. The BBC has asked Serco what caused the recent disturbances, but it has not responded to the questions. When there's a story coming out of a prison that shows the prisoner in the wrong, beating prisoners, the story, they don't comment, in the hope that the story won't get out. Do you know what I mean? So so they've not responded to the questions from the BBC. Said here, violence first broke out at Lowdham in Nottinghamshire on the 26th of July. One woman whose brother is an inmate said he told her an handcuffed prisoner was thrown down a metal flight of stairs. A handcuffed prisoner, guys, right? Inmates not involved in the disorder were pulled out of their cells and punched. Stun grenades or flashbangs were used against prisoners. That means that the Nationals have gone in. She added that, according to her brothers, officers had balaclavas on, so no one would be able to recognise them. Again, Nationals. She added that the violence broke out after an inmate complained about racist comments made by guards. There was further disorder at the prison on the 31st of July. The sister of a second inmate said her brother was locked in his cell for 24 hours without food as a result of staff shortages caused by the incident. She also added, in many cases, new inmates were not seen by the prisoner's healthcare team for weeks. The prison was unaware of her brother's food allergies and his breathing was compromised. Instances of staff on inmate or inmate on inmate violence were common. Her brother witnessed self-harm or suicide attempts every day. That's not just to Lowdham Grange prison, that's to all prisons. Complaints were often not taken seriously unless a prisoner behaved badly or harmed themselves. The prison is nicknamed Lowdham Strange because of the amount of inmates with mental health issues. On the 6th of August, there was another disturbance, according to 2 complainants, was a result of tensions caused by inmates being locked down during a water leak affecting the prison. One woman whose son is an inmate at Lowdham said they had been told staff often beat inmates to manipulate them with needing hospital treatment. She also said that prisoners were kept in their cells for longer than the recommended time and paid off in phone credit to keep them quiet. According to government guidelines, prisoners should be able to spend between 30 minutes and an hour outside in the open each day. That's called exercise, right? What do Serco say? The company said the three disturbances over the past 3 weeks were unrelated and were on different wings, and each of them involved only a handful of prisoners. In relation to the disorder on the 26th of July, a spokesperson said a maximum of 6 prisoners have been involved in concerted indiscipline, which was contained in the wing, and no one was injured. He added, no punches were thrown, we do not go into specific tactics used, but it was resolved peacefully. Serco said the disturbance on the 30th of July was further concerted indiscipline by a small group of 6 prisoners on one of the wings, which was peacefully resolved. Involved a small number of prisoners. Fuck, I'll get my fucking words out one of these days. And that no one was injured. It said on the 6th of August there was a small and over in 5 minutes. Said, yeah. That was on that one. In response to the prisoner's other allegation, Mark Hansen, Serco's contract director, in other words, the governor at Lowdham Grange, said there has been three recent minor injuries of concerted indiscipline at the prison. Officers have intervened professionally and efficiently to bring each of them to close, using standard procedures and equipment. The safety of everyone at the prison is our first priority. We take zero tolerance to any violent behaviour, and we will work with the police to prosecute any individuals committing acts of violence. Serco said there had been no complaints about officers assaulting prisoners, and any such complaints will be referred to police as a matter of course. It said there is no allegation of racism from inmates. Then it says self-harm incidents at Lowdham Grange and stuff like that. It goes on about the spike in numbers of self-harm and assaults. The number of assaults at Lowdham Grange, which has a capacity for about 900 inmates, has risen every year since 2009. Again, that's not just isolated to the prison, that's everywhere. In 2017, there were 318 assaults, up from 237 the year before, and more than double the amount in 2014. On average, this amounts to 3.6 assaults every 10 prisoners. About 2/3 were prisoner on prisoner, while the others were assaults on staff. In 2017, there were 402 incidents of self-harm, up from 288 the year before. A further 162 took place in the first 3 months of 2018. There were 2 prisoner deaths in 2017 and 1 in June 2018. Serco would not say how many prison officers were based at Lowdham. What did the last prison inspection find? In 2015, Her Majesty's Inspector of Prisons said levels of violence against staff and prisoners had risen since 2011 inspection and were much higher than similar establishments. The report outlined how safety had deteriorated and the levels of violence between prisoners and towards staff were high and it was very serious. I'm tired, guys. Sorry, my attention span's all over. It said the use of force was very high and the inspectors were not assured it was fully justified or warranted, and not all incidents were de-escalated as quickly as they might have been. Levels of self-harm had risen and were higher than in comparable prisons, and there were unacceptable waiting times to see healthcare professionals. It highlighted that prisoners had little confidence in the complaint system and the jail received more complaints than similar prisons. Inspectors also found examples of complaints that were not fully investigated or responded to. What has the Independent Monitoring Board observed? The IMB's latest annual report found levels of violence between prisoners and on occasions towards staff were of concern. It said injuries sustained by prisoners were sometimes quite serious and required hospital treatment. Assaults on staff were rarer but still occurred and sometimes required hospital treatment. The report published in June also said a command suite has opened to coordinate the management of serious incidents on at least 25 occasions during the last year. It said that these incidents concluded prisoners balancing over railings, using barricades, concerted indiscipline by groups of prisoners, and apparent hostage situations. The board said it observed some of these and was impressed by the efficient, calm and humane way to which these incidents were managed. Board members said the worryingly high use of psychoactive substances, like spice example, was the cause of violent behaviour. The report also pointed out low staffing levels made management of the prison difficult, and said the proportion of inexperienced staff contributed to a challenging atmosphere on some wings. It said staffing was seldom at the agreed level during the year. However, the board noted that considerable efforts were made to maintain the full regime. The board also raised concerns about the number of prisoners with mental health issues and said they were kept in segregation for extended periods of time, and were concerned about the number of prisoners who chose to remain behind their doors during the day. In addition, the building where the majority of healthcare services are delivered was unfit for purpose, the report said. How have other organisations reacted? Francis Crook, the chief executive of the Howard Legal Penal Reform, said it's been a long hot summer and sounds like Lowdham Grange has problems. Perhaps it is time for the inspector to conduct an inspection, as only one has been published on the prison in the past 7 years. This illustrates how prisons can deteriorate quickly. They also show how important it is for prisons to have robust and imaginative management and careful oversight of staff. Her Majesty's Inspector of Prison spokesman said the inspections took place every 3 or 4 years. They were not announced. He said intelligence files were kept on all prisoners. When they were assessing whether there should be an inspection scheduled, they look at what information is available. It will always be a case-by-case basis, he said. So, sorry guys, my focus is really bad. I slept really shit last night and it affects my thought process. And when I'm reading it, I'm just sort of, my head's elsewhere. So I apologise for that. Like I say, you've got prison officers twisting up prisoners, throwing a handcuffed prisoner down the stairs, right? Other prisoners that were not involved are allegedly pulled out of the cells and punched and kicked, right? The Nationals went in to restore order, obviously in riot gear, balaclavas and stuff like that. Flashbangs are used. Obviously, they use handcuffs, things like that to bring it under order and everything. The prison are saying that there's been no complaints made, right? There's complaints system in prisons where you write down on comp ones and stuff, and there's like a bin on the wing, and you put it in this like metal bin, and it's supposed to be collected by somebody from the prison. But like I said, I know stories where they've not even got off the wing, so that's a bit crazy. So you'll have to let me know, guys, what you think about is the prison telling the truth? Do you think that prisoners are not being attacked, or are you with me and you know that prisoners are being attacked? You have to let me know what you think. Like I say, violence will be met by violence and stuff, and there's been 4, not that it states there's been 3, there's been 4 incidents, right, in the past few weeks, guys. Simple as that. If you treat prisoners like animals, they will act like animals. They're not just going to sit there and take beatings, you know what I mean? They'll stand up, they'll rise up, and remember, the prison officers are outnumbered. They become reliant on their panic button. Simple as that. Let me know what you think about the video, guys. I'm sorry that my thought process was all over. I'll put a link in the description below. Let me know what you think. And always comment, subscribe. Speak to you soon. Cody out.